You gotta just chill out, man.
Pittsburgh Steeler fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Scho Bro Show. This is Steel Curtain Network editor Dave Schofield coming at you Tuesday night. It is just seconds, mere minutes after 9 p.m. Finally on time. Where else would you rather be, Steelers fans, especially now that the Pittsburgh Steelers are back on the field in practice for training camp? And with me as always, except when he's not, is my big brother Rich. Big Bro Scho, how does it go tonight?
Oh, you know what? It goes all right tonight. Won't complain too much. We're back to football. So far, it's just been football in shorts, but I'll take that over nothing right now.
Yeah, that's kind of where we're going because it is what it is. I went with a little bit of alliteration here for our title tonight. Said, no pads popping, just precipitation pounding at Steelers training camp. Because, yeah, today was the worst, all right? Because the Steelers did their walkthrough. They were getting ready to start stretches, had to clear the field because of a storm. They'll practice in the rain.
And I knew that they were going to probably be off the field because I saw it stretching up towards Latrobe.
Yeah, like from where you were.
These storms popped today kind of on and just west of the peak of the mountains, and they didn't they hardly moved. They had to rain themselves out, and there was thunder and lightning and all that fun stuff. And the Steelers made the wise choice, just then saying, yep, doesn't look like it's going to get much better. We're just going to go inside. And I feel bad for all those folks that went to training camp. I am glad I did not. Today was one of the days I considered going. I am very glad I did not.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I feel awful for Steelers fans that go there and everything gets rained out. Now, I will tell you this. There was at least players down doing some workouts, them doing their team walkthrough stuff, maybe some time to see players before practice, things like that. It wasn't a complete wash where you didn't see a single member of the Steelers. But still, it would. So it's not like, it's not like a baseball game when you're there and the team never took the field at all. You never saw the players come out of the dugout the whole time. So why am I talking about baseball? Baseball sucks. Anyway, so it's pretty bad, but at least hopefully, I just imagine you're there with your kids going, wanting to watch, and it's just a big nothing burger. Maybe there was at least a little something that they could take out of it that it wouldn't be so awful. Remember, they've had Friday Night Lights canceled before.
Yeah.
That would be a bummer for that, where that got rained out. But the Steelers are 5 practices in. I don't say days because Monday doesn't count. That's their day off. Today was tracker for day 5, which didn't have, I had a bunch of reports, some players talking beforehand, some reports from their walkthrough, and then they're saying it's looking pretty dark. And then they're all going inside. And then the report of, that's the Steelers have officially had to cancel practice outside. They didn't cancel it. They officially moved practice indoors. Now, they're in the process of building like a really nice indoor facility there that's supposed to be done this fall. But it's obviously not done now. So it's not like they could go in and still have the pads going because they had a nice turf surface or whatever they would have, like what they have at UPMC's Rooney Sports Complex. So there wasn't the pads. There was no pads popping today. We didn't get backs on backers. You didn't get any of that stuff. So what we have to look forward to is that tomorrow is just the way it's going to be. So hold on. I'm going to bring up something here from the live chat, if it doesn't jump on me. AFL 67 says, why do they practice at 2 o'clock? There is mostly less rain in the morning before noon. I agree, but I'll be honest with you. And it might be where where Rich is, where the Steelers are in Latrobe, that you all, when lines of storms come through, the afternoon is probably a pretty popular time for thunderstorms in your area, Rich.
Yeah, but see, this was all earlier today.
Yeah.
Typically, we're in that 4 to 6 range more
Yeah.
often.
Yeah, we're usually in the 5 to 8 range where I am, just because of how things move. And I also know when it's this hot, it's a lot of pop-up stuff anyway. But if it's stuff moving through, it's usually later here. So
What was weird about this rain today is typically our rainstorms here. Dave, you'll get this. What I'm talking about. You know how well you experienced that the day we were coming home from vacation. The ever famous storms down at the beach that just popped up and sat over you and just rained right there at you.
Yes.
That's what these were doing today.
Yes. I mean, the pictures were bad. It said that
And we don't get that here because typically with the mountains, the way the winds work, storms don't just set.
Yeah.
You know, even if they pop, once they pop, they push east. Didn't happen that way today. And that is a bummer for the Steelers. Because normally this time of year, we're talking, you know, if they could have waited 20 minutes, half hour, they could have hit the field. But the way these storms were today, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, and the other advantage of if you're practicing during the morning, if you get rained out in the morning, you have the possibility the afternoon. When the Steelers get rained out now, they only have so much time they can press into the evening, and the grass fields, they were done. I mean, I saw pictures of stuff on social media, and it was bad. So then Coach Tom's like, do we want to go out on wet turf in our first day of Pats? I can understand that as well. So to me, Coach Tom doesn't like the morning practices because he said it wasn't hot enough to create more discomfort and everything. I know last year when they announced all of the practices were, because remember last year all of them were at 10:55. This year they're all at 1:55. The year before last they were at 1:55. There was one, I think there was one in the morning at one year. Of course, you know, Friday Night Lights is always a different story. Like the day they broke camp, they practiced in the morning and then they broke camp. I don't think they're even doing that this year, that everything's at 1:55. Now, the Steelers will also, and I think now that that they were basically rained out for an entire practice now, they will look ahead, and if the forecast is bad, they will move up the practice time. They'll do it. That's what they will do.
If possible.
So
I don't know. All I know is that starting later here in a couple days, mainly Thursday. Thursday could be another fairly rainy day, and then we are supposed to break into some just gorgeous weather out here. So
yeah, our temperature's supposed to, like where I am here, we're supposed to be drop from the mid 90s to the mid to low 80s, with Friday only having a high of 74. And for
65.
where I am, for where I am, which is
65.
Yeah, so which is crazy because isn't that Friday Night Lights this Friday?
Yes. It's
So
going to be a cool one. If you're going to see Friday Night Lights, take your sweatshirt. It's going to be chilly up there in Latrobe. They probably get us here by but probably only by about 3 or 4 degrees. That they may be warmer than we are here, and that's only because we're a little higher. Good chance it's going to be down into the 50s for Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, and
the players will love it.
Yeah, well, my thing is that I think is crazy is the one day they would have had some relief in the afternoon. They're not practicing in the afternoon, which I think is a little bit funny. But you know, even with that, they'll move stuff around. I think they will. You know, Coach Tom's talking about staying ahead of the Doppler. I think they're going to try to get more out in front of the Doppler now. I think they're going to try to pay attention and not just say, well, we should be able to. Because like I said, if it's just rain, if it's just a rainy day, they're going to say bring it on. They'll go out and practice in the rain.
Yeah.
It's the lightning. They can't go out in lightning. So Yeah.
Why not, Dave? There's nothing wrong with going out in some lightning.
Yeah, we've told that story before. It's funny because Pickens, you dummy, wants to know who will be the camp darling. You were exactly 1 week too late. That was last week's subject. So if you want to catch that, you can go back and catch last week's show where we outlined ours, which
One of mine's gone.
one of yours is gone already. Yep. Hey, that's what happens with these guys. If they get dinged up, they don't keep around. Now,
Nope.
could there be an injury settlement? There could be. Is it someone that could come back later on the practice squad after the length of the injury settlement? Sure, something like that. Or they could end up just on IR with the Steelers. So it's just kind of how things go. But hey, before we get into this, I'm going to take a slight aside because there's something that I need to do. Today was a very special day in my household, kind of, because my oldest child, my daughter, she turned 17 years old today. So I have to give a happy birthday shout out to my oldest child, to my daughter Violet, who turned 17. And I have to give it to it here because I didn't get to see her all today. She's away at camp. She chose to go away to a camp this year. She did it last year too during her birthday. So I don't get to see her, but doesn't mean that I didn't think about her and celebrate all day. But here's what I did. I took my oldest son to the movies today. Before I had to go super early because of having to be home before practice, which ended up not even happening. But nothing like going to a 10:15 a.m. movie. But since my daughter was away at camp to not go to the movie on her birthday, I just brought in a substitute. And who joined us? It was your daughter.
My daughter.
So Big Bro's daughter joined us instead. And at the same time, I also have to give another shout out, even though it was over the weekend, because over the weekend it was also my wife's birthday. So just thought I'd do that real quick. Wait a
minute. The question I will have to ask then is did your wife spend her birthday with you? Because, I mean, I'm already starting to feel a little bit of a theme going on with your daughter.
There's a theme going on.
She'd rather spend it at camp than with you. I just had to check and see if your wife wanted to spend her birthday with you or with
she did, but I'll be honest with you. She kind of was upset when she was trying to get something done where we were trying to get together a gift bag to send with our daughter to camp so she would have it for her birthday. So we were out shopping on my wife's birthday for my daughter's birthday, and I kept having to stop and update the tracker at SteelCurdNetwork.com. That way our loyal Steelers fans could know exactly what was going on during practice. Because that's just how we bring it. So, but I just thought I'd do that quick shout out there. So, Rich, now the Steelers are 5 practices into training camp, but we still don't have the pads. I should probably go ahead and do it now. There was some other news for the day. Broderick Jones he was not out there to practice today, but after practice, Coach Tomlin still spoke to the media, and he said he expects him back tomorrow. So that's good that's not going to be something lingering. Doesn't have a time frame on Isaac Seumalo, who was put on the non-football injury list. But the Steelers swapped in and out 3 players today. Now, probably I would say the most significant one of those is the fact that they moved on from Cordero Patterson. Steelers fans realized that yesterday because Patterson put that out there on his own social media. Anything you want to say about they swapped, they brought in another running back. They brought back the defensive tackle that they let go when they added Chuck Clark, and your guy, or Montana, I'm just going to say that as a wide receiver, he was an injury. Jeremiah Moon was the other waived injured. So you got to see what happens with these guys if they're going to go on IR or if they're just going to get an injury settlement. They did one thing that is important because John Malesko asked about this, asked if there's a timeline on DJ Thomas Jones. No, but it was not. They thought it was an Achilles. It's not an Achilles. The fact that the Steelers did not put him on IR is interesting. So, but it's still a possibility. I don't want to say it too much, and then they did make that move tomorrow because it's hard to say. No timeline there. Anything you want to say about the players that were let go, or anything, or anyone that they added?
Minus, go ahead and cross off one of my, wide receivers. That's why I picked two.
Yeah. And the other one, this actually had a little bit of buzz around him on Sunday, I think it was.
Yeah.
So, real quick, I want to say about Cordero Patterson. The only reason he should have still been on the Steelers is if he wanted to be. The Steelers should have just been open and honest with him, like, hey, it's going to be an uphill battle for you to make this roster. We're going to give you every opportunity to earn it. If you want it, or if you would like to move on, we'll let you move on. That's a conversation that should have happened, I would say, in May. That should happen in May.
Yeah.
I don't know if it did or if it didn't. But the fact that he wasn't practicing, that he was dealing with an injury, that's when it's like, he's not going to make the team. Why bother? There's going to be some cap savings with that one. So it is what it is. And when you talk about the other guys that they add, it's crazy because sometimes this time of year, the Steelers add someone, people complain that they added this player, or people are like, wow, this really means that they're going to blah, 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 blah. People remember, they added 3 players today, and who they added was player 89, 90, and 91. That's who they added today. Because if they were higher than that, they would have already been on the team. So they can only keep 69 players, including the practice squad. So to think that the players that are in here that they brought in today are someone that they're really planning on, chances are they're not. Now, when they brought in Chuck Clark after one day, that was a whole different story. That was them filling out their safety room. What did you think about that move, Rich?
I didn't spend a lot of time on that one, I'll be honest. I just thought it was interesting because there was maybe some familiarity there with him with some of the other players. I don't know if how much that played into it, things like that. But fill out the room.
Yeah.
See what the guy's got. He's probably going to earn a spot, and it shouldn't be surprising if he earns a spot.
But you got to keep it in perspective.
But he's still got to earn that spot. So that's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah. So I think you're right. And the reason I say you got to put it in perspective is this. When you're talking about someone that you're like, oh, they might just not have it as much anymore, but they're someone who's been around the league and been a starter for a long time. You know what? Sometimes those guys, if they're willing to take on a reserve role, having proven depth, someone who's been there, that maybe they've lost a step, and that's why they're not out there ahead of other guys. But they should have, they should be good from the neck up. They should have the knowledge. They should be able to step in easily and stuff like that. That's not a bad thing to have. The question is, are players willing to accept those kind of roles? So, yeah.
Next.
Yeah, I was going to say anything. Honestly, I don't even have the names of the players that they added, in front of me, and that's why I just said, remember, that's kind of where they are, what's going on. I'm sorry, I'm bringing this up on the screen because I was kind of caught me off guard. If thanks mean Joe, obviously we're doing the show, so we're not catching any news right now. He says, breaking news: there was a powerful 8.7 earthquake off the coast of Russia, and there's tsunami alerts in California,
Pretty
Alaska,
much
and Hawaii.
The entire West Coast, actually.
Yeah, and Canada, probably even down. As you get down to South America, it should probably fizzle out more. But yeah, still doesn't mean they couldn't get something. That's just so. Yeah, that's if you're watching here from the Pacific Coast anywhere, hopefully you all go. Don't worry about listening to us. Go make sure that you are safe and have all the proper information that you need. So with that, let's get back to this.
Back to training camp. All
right. So what has been, because I started to ask this question, and then I said, oh, let's hit the news first. What stood out to you from the reports? Remember, neither of us have been there. The reports of what we've had through basically 4 practices. They had a 5th one, but we didn't really get any reports from it. With stuff going on, keeping in mind that the pads have not come on.
So, yeah, especially here early in training camp, to me, it's more about individuals more than the team in some ways. Like, I'm looking for guys who are standing out, things that are out there. Okay? I think we have discovered that Derek Harmon has a real good possibility that he's for real.
Okay, yeah.
Because right out of the gate, he has made his presence known.
Yes.
That's great. That's what you would hope for from your first round pick. So, that good to see. Other things that have kind of stood out to me. Don't call Jalen Ramsey old and over the hill, because he's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about him. That's
Yeah.
good. Not as much of Darius Slay, but you know what? Sometimes, and some people are like, well, remember the pads aren't on. You know who plays the most normal football when the pads aren't on? Wide receivers in secondary.
Yeah.
It's basically 7-on-7 football.
Yeah.
That, those kind of things. Passing game, passing coverage. Those are the kind of things that you do when you have when you have 7-on-7 flag leagues, things like that. So to me, you can take a lot of that. And Coach Tomlin even mentioned that. And all of them are running together now because I've covered so many Coach Tomlin press conferences where I do the players mentioned articles the next day at SteelCurtainNetwork.com. You can check those out every morning the day after the Steelers practice, as long as Coach Tomlin speaks to the media. That he said that it was specifically, he was asked about a corner, and I don't even remember which one. And he's like, we kind of get to see what we're going to see from them this time. When you're talking about the offensive line, the defensive line, the run game, inside linebackers, you can see a little bit of what they do because you can see how they are in the passing defense. But when it comes to the run defense, you can't just come up there and smack somebody like you would with the pads on. And that's why I brought up with some of the reports of Caleb Johnson. Said, remember, this is a rookie coming out in his first and second practice, busting out some long runs. If you look at some of those videos that are out there that aren't even supposed to be, he kind of gets touched and grabbed earlier in those runs than when he stops. And I have a feeling when the pads go on, he might pay for that a little bit because when guys basically could tackle you if you have pads and you keep going as if you weren't tackled, they're not going to like that.
Yeah.
They're not going to like that. You'll learn that pretty, But I also understand the ambition of a rookie coming out in his first NFL practices. Yeah. So
think you're going to show us up, Brooke? Okay. Which could lead to some really fun stuff. Actually, could really lead to some fun stuff when we see backs on backers.
Yes, yeah, and yes, stuff like that. But honestly, I think some of those guys might want to be more about hand him the football and let me get him on the ground. But at the same time, I said this in the preview. I love the mentality of I'm not stopping until you get me all the way to the ground. That's just really hard to do when you're not wearing pads and guys aren't supposed to take you to the ground. So they learn. The rookies learn eventually. I recall in years past with Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger, usually the first padded practice, they would have him sit out. And Coach Tomlin would say before, it's like, hey, we got a bunch of guys amped up being in pads for the first time. We don't need somebody out here doing this for the first time at this level, trying to make a play, take out our franchise quarterback on the very first practice. So we'll let him sit one out, and hopefully guys will get into the groove of how things, how you handle those situations in the future. So, I mean, I didn't hear anything one way or the other with if Rodgers was practicing today or not, because they didn't really make it that far. But because, you could come out and do the walkthrough and stuff like that, but then still not actually do other things. But to me, I think I think he's trying to get as much work as possible. I talked about it on my Unpopular Opinion podcast on Sunday about the whole idea of interceptions in training camp and that they're not bad. Now, bad interceptions are bad no matter what. Like if your throw is just completely inaccurate, you're throwing a wobbler, you're just completely missing something, that's going to be bad no matter what. But I don't put a ton on the training camp interceptions, especially early. And I would actually rather see a quarterback throw an interception because they're trying to push the limits of what they can fit places rather than just constantly play it safe like we've seen Steelers quarterbacks do. Rich, any thoughts on the whole idea of Aaron Rodgers' first pass being intercepted and other interceptions going on?
Well, part of that was the defense having to show Mr. Rodgers that they're pretty good too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm like you. You got to understand too, from a new quarterback to the team standpoint, we had this a little bit last year, and the fact that you got guys, they're trying to get used to guys and the way they run routes and how they come in and out of breaks and this and that. Because you got to admit, in the NFL, you're talking about tight windows you got to get the ball into. So it takes some work together with a defense out there to try to figure out where those windows are. Okay. And I think sometimes you're going to have some of those interceptions because you're trying to figure out the windows. Now, if you keep, was it somebody in the Slack channel or somebody I was talking to? I think it was in our Slack. Somebody's like, maybe it was you, said, I don't mind that they make those mistakes as long as they don't make them over and over and over again.
Yeah.
That's the key. If you see a quarterback that keeps making the same mistake, that's a red flag. An interception here or there in training camp, not horrible. The same kind of interception or the same bad interception during training camp, hey, we got something we should look at here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. So I completely agree. Hey, you know what? We're not done this talk because we've got plenty more that we're going to talk about of what we've seen over the first 4 practices. But we're going to go ahead and take our break. And then when we come back, we'll do that. We'll still have 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk this week. And we'll have our big question at the end. So stick around. We'll be right back after this break.
Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax. Relax, don't worry, no rush, what's the hurry? Relax, don't worry, don't worry, relax.
All right, big bro, are you ready to relax and not worry about everything going on with the Steelers in their non-padded practices, kind of waiting for the real deal to get out there? Or you're like, we can still learn some good stuff.
Since Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback now, all I think is RELAX.
Yeah. Yeah.
Remember when he's telling everybody to relax.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, and
I'm just antsy for football. You know what I mean? It's just like, hey, we're here, we're moving, but it's still, and I'm not trying to rush it along or things like that, but it's, I still can't wait for, it's like, it's here, but it's not here. Come on, hurry up. Mm-hmm. But seems like I'll do that, and next thing you know, we're going to be like, oh, the season's over. What are we going to do without football?
yeah, exactly. And I keep saying, oh, well, we always want the next thing. Like here we are 1 week ago, we're talking about Camp Darlings and we're being excited about the players showing up the next day. Now we're like, oh man, we didn't get to see the pads today. And, bring on the pads. And I've mentioned this on other shows. We always want the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Think about this. The Pittsburgh Steelers, it's going to be the bye week before we know it. That's the first weekend in October. And it's going to be the bye week. And the Steelers could be sitting there at 0-4 and the sky will be falling. The Steelers could be sitting there at 2-2 and it's like, well, let's see what's going to happen. The Steelers could be sitting there at 4-0. And you know what a lot of the fan base is going to say? Well, until they do it at the end of the season, it doesn't matter at all. So even when we get to the season, and as the ride's going, there are going to be those looking for the end of the season to see what happens. Which, trust me, I'm not saying that the end of the season is not the most important. In order to, well, you got to be good enough early in the season to set yourself up to keep going at the end of the season, but it is a lot more important to be playing better at that time of year. But also, you've got to enjoy the journey. We've got to enjoy the journey. So we can still enjoy those first 4 practices that we've got reports from with the Steelers. And I'll ask you something. Is there a name that you haven't heard much, that you're surprised you haven't heard much about?
It's a good one. I'm not sure. Have I heard much of the name Beanie Bishop? Not a whole lot.
Not a whole lot. I think he had a pass breakup
He did. That's
in
why I was
a
like,
7 shots or something.
I think, yeah. So it's like, so it's not that he's not been there, but it's like he's definitely. I'm sorry, but in that room, he's gotten pushed a little further back.
Yes, he has. He's really got
what that room.
I
is
mean,
now.
but what you've got to do now is you got to stand out. It might be a deep room, but you've got to stand out. Here's a couple names that have stood out. Brandon Eccles,
Yeah.
he stood out, and even Corey Trice. So good for Corey Trice, because like I said, I was kind of worried. So many people, I don't want to say everyone, so many people were talking about, Corey Trice. We've got the one guy that comments on a lot of the articles at Steel Curd Network that I've kind of picked on some before, but he's all about it should be Joey Porter Jr. and Corey Trice in the secondary. And I'm like, Corey Trice has played 6 games. You can't go into the season banking on a guy that's played 6 games. But if he's showing that he deserves to be there, that's a good problem for the Steelers to have. Brian brought this up. He said Darius Slay. Brian Mizwa said that on Facebook. I'd say there hasn't been a lot of talk of Slay, but when it comes to defensive backs, if they're on the field and you know that they're on the field, not hearing about them sometimes is a good thing, because maybe they haven't even been able to throw their way. You're going to hear about Jalen Ramsey, not just the plays he's making, but because they're going to have him in so many different places. That's why you're going to hear about him so much. Yeah. I'm going to throw out a name. I mean, unfortunately, you've heard Zach Fraser's name too much because of having some snap issues. And I don't expect to hear much from the offensive line or defensive line when there's not pads on.
Yep.
But I'm going to be really curious about some of these guys when they do come on. Somebody like a Mason McCormick. Haven't really heard much about him.
Well,
Spencer Anderson coming in playing for Isaac Seumalo. Haven't heard much. And that's really easy on that interior offensive line when you're just kind of working as a unit without pads, that they're not going to get mentioned very much.
Yeah, especially like McCormick, because he was making his money last year as a mauler. Well, it's tough to maul people when you don't have the pads on.
Exactly.
And you're not supposed to be mauling them.
Exactly. Haven't heard much about Cole Holcomb, other than getting in a fight.
And the fact he was like the first guy to camp.
Yes. And he doesn't have the mullet.
Yeah.
He said it's like a career reset for him. So some of these guys that you haven't heard of, we're going to talk about a little bit more about who we're really looking forward to hearing about when the pads do come on. We're going to get there. Anything else from camp that you want to bring up, mention? I'm not overemphasizing quarterback play right now. I know a lot of people are really happy with Will Howard. That's great. Some people are maybe a little bit too happy with Will Howard. I don't know if that, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
All you're getting from quarterbacks right now is the thing that you can take and be, can they make the throws? Will Howard is showing he can make the throws. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
Let's get the pads on, go a little bit more full speed, make the throws under pressure, making reads, all diagnosing defenses and things like that. And we can talk about that some more. But right now, for me, quarterback, you're just seeing, can they make the throws?
Yeah. Yep.
And people were sitting there thinking, well, isn't that what a quarterback? Yeah, but it's all I'm talking about is, does ball go from point A to where you want it to go at point B?
Yeah.
That's what we're learning right now. So
Yeah. Hey, I want to bring up another comment. Oh, except it jumped on me. So here we go. Back to it. Afton Ford says KT is going tomorrow, and she asked for a Holcomb update. That's right. Coach KT Smith will be at training camp tomorrow, so I really hope that the weather's okay, that they get the practice in and everything.
It's going to be mobbed up there tomorrow, which is part of the reason I'm not going tomorrow either. It's going to be
because of the Pat Mac.
Yes, because the Pat McAfee show is going to be there. It's going to be a little crazier. So right now, I'm hoping to maybe go a day next week, either Tuesday or Wednesday. Still not 100% on that yet. Going to look at the weather. Hope to make a decision by Friday if I'm going one of those days next week.
Well, and if you go Tuesday and that affects something with the show, you're going to have to let me know.
I don't affect any.
I don't know what time you'd get home. I can't remember how long it takes. It takes
About
you
an
to
hour.
get things back. Yeah.
Well, an hour from the college, so I had another 20 minutes with it. So about an hour and 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, hey, unless there's anything else you want to talk about, we're trying to be a little more cognizant of our time here on these shows. I keep getting reminded of that. So unless you have something else you want to bring up, the other thing you could bring up is our 5 minutes of non-Steelers talk. Now, for those of you that are here, you're like, oh, they're not talking Steelers. These are fun. These are a whole lot of fun. And we have our big question afterwards that we definitely want to get to. So that's the best time. Do you have anything else you want to say before that, Rich?
No, because again, we got you and I as a show. Well, we got cheated a little bit because we were really hoping to have more to talk about in terms of that first padded practice.
And really so did Jeff Hartman with tomorrow's Let's Ride. But you know what? He makes her work. That's what he does. Here we go. This is the question. Are we going to get this?
Yeah.
Where Blue Nose Steelhead said, "Rich live from the Beehive next Tuesday."
Only if Bad is coming with me.
Here, I do want to bring up one question before we get ready for our 5 minutes. And Big Pun wants to know: is it true Jonnu Smith does? I'll use proper English for you. Does it look good? Jonnu Smith just started practicing. He was not out there in team periods because of some kind of thing he was getting over. Something. Chances are the Steelers were well aware of it whenever the trade went down. But he did get back into. I'm pretty sure he was out there for team periods on Sunday. I mean, you're talking 1 day of a non-padded practice, so it's kind of difficult to say he's not looking good. He just wasn't, But remember, your best ability is your availability, and he wasn't available. So we got to see how that's going from here. So, all right, Rich. So, what is our topic this week?
All right, please stop me if we've done this topic before.
I say that like every time because I've thought of him in my head and then can't remember we've actually done it.
But you were talking about the fact that this morning you took your son and my daughter to the movies. Mm-hmm. And what movie did you see?
We went and saw the latest Marvel movie. We saw Fantastic Four.
Okay, have we talked about, Dave, if you could have a superpower, what it would be?
I don't think we have.
Okay, because that's what I was wanting to go with. So, if you could have your pick, if you could have a superpower, or if you could be, you can even go into if you could be one of these characters from one of these comic book movies, as I'll call them. Mm-hmm. Who would you be?
I've often thought about, my superpowers. I've always said that if I was, believe it or not, if I was one of the X-Men, my choice was, most people would assume you would pick Wolverine. My choice was always either Cyclops or Colossus when it came to things like that. So this is a chance to nerd out a little bit. I'll be honest with you about the superpower that I've thought, the ability that I've had, thought about being able to do. And I've thought about this well before it actually came out as other people having this power. It would almost be like one of the main things with Doctor Strange having the time stone. Me, I've always been someone with the whole philosophy and being all philosophical with the concept of time. I would love to be able to manipulate time. Forward, backwards, pause, all that kind of stuff of that regard. If I could do one thing, that's what it'd be. I would like to manipulate time.
But I could see the movie with you. So really, you want to be Adam Sandler in that movie where he has the remote, right?
Which is funny because that movie, it's a little bit funny because they showed the dangers of that. But he didn't really have as much control over it as what he thought. That's why. I want to be able to pause time, rewind. I mean, just imagine. Like, I think about it. You go on Jeopardy, man, all you got to do is rewind the time. You get every question right. Something like, that's just the whole side. Or want to put your wager on the sports game?
So wait a minute. You want to get everything right on Jeopardy. So in other words, you want to be Bill Murray in Groundhog Day.
Yeah, exactly. Bill Murray in Groundhog Day. So, so I guess it would be nice to make sure you got every question right on Jeopardy. That would be pretty cool. No, but the whole idea of moving forward and backwards and how you could, you could do a lot of selfish stuff with it, but just how that would work. So what's your answer there? Okay, this is funny. I got to bring it up.
Okay.
Because Afton says Dave wants the DeLorean. No, I don't. That's even too complex. I just want to be able to, almost like you're like, okay, pause. And I just pause and be able to do. Imagine, and I think of that almost every time I go on a road trip or like when we're getting to going to our vacation. I'm like, man, especially when it's time to go home, it'd be so much easier if I could just freeze time, drive home, and it would be that time when I got home. So there you go, Rich, your turn.
So in other words, kind of like one that I think would be cool would be going back to the X-Men is to be Nightcrawler, teleportation.
You know what? I just finished watching X2 with my son last night.
Yeah.
We're going through the X-Men movies, the old X-Men movies. We just finished that one. So that one, okay, this is hilarious. AFL says I would like to be Tiger Woods. I'm hoping or AFL 67. I'm hoping that's in regards to the golf, not just other stuff in general. But that's the other thing that the whole idea to manipulate time. You had a bad golf shot. You just back it up until you actually sink the putt.
You'd be backing that up an awful lot of times, Dave.
Yeah. The teleportation thing would be pretty, especially like, I don't know if you ever saw the movie Jumper.
Yes.
It wasn't it wasn't necessarily a superhero movie, but you could jump to anywhere that you've been before. So it's not even like Nightcrawler that has to be within a certain distance. It would have to, you could do there. Okay.
Nice.
There you go. John says manipulate time, go back and invest in Google, Bitcoin, and Amazon, and then have the money to become Iron Man.
I bought Intel at 6.
Yeah. The movie Frequency, if you've ever seen that with Jim Caviezel and Dennis Quaid, where when he talks to his friend as a little kid, he always regretted not getting in on Yahoo. He had a chance to and didn't do it, and he gives him a secret word when he's a kid, so that way he can do it later. So that was fun. Yeah, that was a good one. We had not done that one before that I could recall.
Okay.
Rich,
I think so. But
yeah.
So
my thing is, the problem is with mine. Trust me, I'm bringing this back to the Steelers now. With me saying being able to manipulate time, it'd be really nice if you could actually do that and help the Steelers. You know what I mean? But pretty much, I don't know of any way that it would work. Especially, I could go back in time and actually watch the Steelers win a playoff game. But then just think how far back I'd have to go. Then, like in the movie Click, you don't want to hit fast forward until the Steelers win a playoff game, and all of a sudden you're like, why is it 2045? You know, something like that.
So I am going to bring up one more thing in here and be like, okay, now if I'm being more realistic, you know, be something that something a little more realistic, you know. I think it would be cool to be Denzel Washington in the Equalizer movies. Like he is just a bad man in those movies.
Bad Mama Jamma. Yeah, I know what you mean. Where it seems like they're just, it doesn't matter what you do, you can't touch them. Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying. So, man, I wish the Steelers were that way. Sorry.
John
there you go.
There you go. Go back.
Yeah, John. Yeah, go back in time. John says go back in time and tells them to draft Reno.
That's awesome.
That's
awesome.
Go back in time and convince the Vikings to not take that pick of Christian Darrisaw right before the Steelers could get Najee Harris. Go back and don't draft Kenny Pickett, stuff like that. So it is what it is. So, all right, we're going to do our big question, and this is a little bit different than what we've been doing recently because this is our first non-top 5 show for quite some time. So it's not that you all know the question and know what our top answer is. So this is actually going to have some time of us giving our answers before I have you all do it. And I'm not going to put it out there. I'll put it out there a little bit early, but if I do too much, the way we have it now on our streaming service, it used to not keep up with the live chat very well. Now it does it great, but it doesn't allow you to like freeze on something that you've already seen and go back to stuff very easy. So it went from, wow, it's stuck on stuff that was forever ago. It changed it, but now it's tough to go back and get them. So I'm trying to not have to scroll back too far when I do this.
Yeah, what Dave and I are looking at, just so folks understand, what we're looking at on the screen, we'll see the comments, and I actually have us up on YouTube as well on my phone, and I'll get 3 or 4 comments on YouTube that aren't on our screen yet, and then all of a sudden, all 4
of them show up. Yep.
Yeah. So
I hope I don't miss anybody when we go to do this. This is still us practicing for the regular season. Whenever we get to where everyone knows the question, it's the score. This is our question now. Rich, give me. You only get one. One player are you looking forward to seeing practicing in pads once the pads go on tomorrow, Wednesday, weather permitting?
Oh, well, I'm going to take the easy low-hanging fruit from what I've already put out there. I want to see Derek Harmon in pads because he's already made his presence known without pads. If he can continue to have that same kind of presence with pads, the Steelers' defensive line is going to be pretty good this year.
That was the low-hanging fruit because that's what I would have done. I'm like, I'm going to say Derek Harmon unless Rich says Derek Harmon, and then I'm going to say somebody else. I'm really torn. I think I'm going to between the two. I'm going to go Broderick Jones.
Okay.
Because I'm more worried about him. I do want to see Troy Fautanu a lot too. The entire offensive line. But the one right now that I have the most concern over is Broderick Jones. So I really would like to see him. So I'm now putting that out there. I hit send. I don't know if it showed up for anybody else yet.
Showed up on YouTube.
Yep. So So there we go. So you all put in your answer of the player that you would like to see the most in practice once the pads come on. That because you know that it's going to make a pretty big difference. Here we go. Afton says Caleb Johnson. It is Johnson, right? Yeah. It's Johnson. I know it's Caleb with a K, and for some reason I always want to second guess his last name. Thanks, Mean Joe says Peyton Wilson. That's another one I considered. That's a pretty good one. Matthew Mullaney also says Caleb Johnson. See there, I get the whole name now. I know that's who he's going for. I don't know if this is Big Pun's answer, But Big Pun did say Broderick is a great choice. But Big Pun, you still have the option of putting out a different choice if you choose to.
If
that's
you
who
had
would
somebody
like to
else
see.
or leave it like that, was saying you were kind of agreeing with Dave.
Yeah. Oh, we got these back to back coming in almost the same time.
I know.
TD Tom Dessenberger says Jack Sawyer, and our infamous BF Bud says Mad Jack Sawyer. So I think that's a good one. Big Pun, he says he's going with Roman Wilson.
I'd agree.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one to say because we really didn't get to see a whole lot of him in pads last year.
Yeah, well, and you know what? That's the difference because you saw Roman Wilson without pads last year, but not in pads. Because normally I would say, like, really a wide receiver? But that's one out of any wide receiver actually really makes sense.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that, as we go here, sometimes I know that we're delayed, and I know people sometimes are commenting on things that have happened a while ago on the show just because of the way the time goes. So I'm hoping that as we go here, maybe we'll get some other ones, but maybe we won't. So Rich, I do have a question before we go on because this is a good chance to say it. Any games you say you still have for sale for this year?
Yeah. So I have 3 games still. I'm keeping 2, willing to sell 1. I don't care how it comes out between Browns, Colts, Bills.
Browns, Colts, Bills.
Although I may have someone interested a little bit in my Bills tickets, not sure yet, but
so one of those
they're
3 is
sniffing
available.
around, so they're sniffing around. So they may not be out there for long.
I've had someone contact me about my Colts tickets, which may or may not go to them. I can tell you this: I don't know what my second game is that I'm going to, but I'm going to the Bengals game. That's one I'm going to.
Of course you are, because that's the first one I was able to get rid of.
Oh, but that I know. But Daniel Jay's going to be there too, so I'm going just like last year. So I'm going to meet up with Daniel Jay at the game. I'll tell you this right now: if you're interested in going to the opener, get a hold of me because that's one of the ones that I have available. Remember, mine are lower deck end zone, section 122. Rich, what's your section again?
529 maybe
something like that. Yeah,
539.
something up there.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's upper deck on the side.
Steelers sideline, upper deck, at about the 10-yard line.
Yeah. So, all right, we've got some more to bring up here. We've got Kathy saying Caleb Johnson. Kathy Ford. We've got, they're skipping on me a little bit. I'm trying to keep up. Mark Tobin says, tries to cheat and do 2. I should only read the first one, which is Caleb Johnson. The other one is the Steelers' newest number 1 wide receiver. So I won't say the name, but I helped you out a little bit. And here goes.
Here we go.
There we go. People cheating again. You get 1. 1. The rule was 1. 1. So I got to go to the first one. KJ. They also want to know a little bit about that corner that the Steelers have acquired. But there. Now here, this one I don't know if I should bring up or not because didn't Thanks Mean Joe already have one? I don't know. Just in case I'm saying not. Troy Fontana, that's one that I thought was pretty good.
Actually, yes, Thanks Mean Joe was the one that said Peyton Wilson. So shame on you, Mean Joe. Although I'd never do that shake my finger and say shame if it was the real Mean Joe because he would pick up a tree and kill me.
Yeah. So you know what? We got an apology. We even got an apology from Mark Tobin. Said, sorry, it's all right. It's all right. It's okay. I want to bring up this one. John, this is a longer one. John Malesko says, I'm curious to see Logan Lee in pads. Never really got to see what he was capable of last year because he was injured. He did play in some preseason games, so you saw it a little bit.
A little bit.
But he's one that that defensive line of who's actually going to make the team, that's when you're really going to start to see that take some shape is once you get the pads on. It's funny. Me, Joe said the list was too short. Was helping us out with another name.
All right, get
funny.
Steeler Chick in there.
What?
Yeah.
All
Steeler
Chick 46.
Let's see everybody. In
all
pads.
everyone. There you go. Yeah, see everyone in pads. Yeah, I don't blame you there. Don't blame you there at all. So So just wanted to throw that out there with the anyone that's looking for some Steeler games to go to that you could reach out to Rich or I. Hey, make sure you're checking out all our podcasts. Like I said, we should be back to having Steel City Insider this week. We had it last week. The only question is if they have to shift days based on the Steelers schedule. Don't know anything for sure about that, but hopefully they'll still be Wednesdays at 11. If we have to adjust, we'll have to adjust. Other than that, bringing you the same kind of stuff. I've got one more week of unpopular opinion before that'll be off for 2 weeks during the 2 Saturday preseason games. And then it'll be back for a couple more weeks before the start of the regular season. Make sure you check out steelcurrentnetwork.com. My goodness, we had lots of content for the Training Camp Confidential. Lots of great stuff out there. If a lot of you probably are following the Steelers and the beat reporters, everything what's going on with training camp, following them on social media. If you don't, or if you can't, you just go to steelcurrentnetwork.com, go to the tracker, and all that's doing is compiling all the information there for you. So you don't have to do it with everything else. So I'm making sure that we didn't have anything because it's jumping around on me.
There was one
we
back up. You got to back up a ways, though. It was Valley Ford.
I'm looking for Valley.
On
Where?
Yep.
Oh, there we go. That said, Fat Tuna, a.k.a. Fautanu. It is, I could, that's how it's spelled a little bit. I don't know. That seems kind of not the nicest nickname ever. So, but hey seriously.
If I'm going to catch a tuna, I want to catch a fat tuna.
If you want one, get a fat tuna. Hey, if you're listening to this podcast, check out steelcurrentnetwork.com. It's 100% free. 100% free. Even if you want to comment, totally free. You don't have to comment. Just go check out the content. Great stuff there all the time. I don't ever want to scroll past an article that says KT Smith. Those are
never miss a KT
nothing
Smith.
against everybody else, but that's just someone that you don't want to miss what he has to say. But really, and if you are someone who goes and checks out steelcurrentnetwork.com, tell your friends that are Steeler fans. Tell them to go check it out. Just seriously, give us a shot. Revamp the website during the off season, much more aesthetically pleasing. Not the glitchy issues that we had before. We're really proud of the product that we're getting out there, and hopefully we can really build it here during the 2025 season.
Yeah,
Rich.
we've ironed out a lot of the kinks there.
Yes,
and it's really coming together. Looks nice, easy to navigate, easy to comment on. It is coming together. We just need to keep working on growing that readership a little bit. But
if you come and you've been there, tell 5 Steeler fans to check it out. There you go. We'll say it that. Rich, what do you have to say to close us out here tonight?
we're into football. We're into football. That's the biggest thing. We are into football. We will not. We are talking about it with the Steelers doing something as a team from here on out to the end of the season. So what's there not to be excited about? There's going to be pretty much something every single day that you can talk about with the Steelers. To me, the only sad part is what Steelers are in training camp, and this happened to me yesterday as I was reading stories on Steel Curtain Network. Suddenly I got to thinking, man, fall's basically upon us.
Yeah.
Man, I got some more stuff around the house I got to get done.
I have a feeling.
Yeah, but, it's really just the time ticking down until that first kickoff of the season. The regular season is really getting close. It's not here yet, but it's within our grasp. And when it comes to that game one, can't wait.
You gotta just chill out, man.
can't wait.